Well, the city of Hamilton, Ontario, of course, was built around the steelmaking industry, with the blast furnaces of Stelco and Dofasco turning out untold tons of steel over the decades. That was steel that was used in turn to build crucial infrastructure across North America and elsewhere. These days, the Hamilton steel sector is smaller than it once was and is facing fresh challenges. Just yesterday, ArcelorMittal, a Luxembourg-based giant of the industry, announced it would close a wire mill in the city. We're joined now by the mayor of Hamilton, Andrea Horwath. Mayor Horwath, thank you a great deal for joining us. This was not good news at all, of course, for the people that you represent. Do you have the sense that U.S. tariffs were a factor here? U.S. tariffs, of course, have been set now at 50%. Steel producers like Algoma and Sault Ste. Marie say that effectively locks them out of the huge U.S. market. ArcelorMittal did not specifically point to U.S. tariffs. It pointed to economic challenges and market conditions. What's your sense of why the company took this decision?
Well, Paul, I wouldn't be surprised if it was, in fact, the tariffs. My understanding is the company also has a facility in Quebec, and so they're consolidating, if you will. But that is bad news for Hamilton. And we do have certainly ArcelorMittal Dofasco is one of our major employers, of course. Their plant is running full tilt, but this was a separate plant on a different street even, and it's really devastating. I mean, those 153, 154 workers and their families are going to be impacted significantly. But this is, I believe, the beginning of some really problematic future trends that are going to happen here in Hamilton if we don't have some targeted assistance for companies that are being impacted by the 50% tariffs. We do have the big fish, like ArcelorMittal Dofasco, fantastic employer in our community, but our steel industry is quite diversified. We have advanced manufacturing. We have a number of different fabrication plants that do specialized products that serve the U.S. market. They are all at risk. In fact, I had a roundtable discussion with that sector early on after Trump first announced the 25% and the pending 50% back a couple months ago. And they were very clear with me. The industry folks that were at that roundtable said clearly, we can hang on at 25 for a while, but if it goes to 50, we won't last. We won't last very long at all. And that's terrifying because we're talking upwards of 10,000 jobs, probably even more, closer to 20,000 jobs. We're the 8th most impacted city in the country when it comes to the tariff situation that we now have. And we need to be the focus of the federal and provincial governments in order to save these plants, because we absolutely, when workers are laid off, I'm the first one to say, we need to support those workers. We need to make sure their finances are kept whole. But the best thing for those workers would be to keep their jobs, to still have a job to go to. But once those plants go down, once the lights get shut off and the layoff notices are issued, it's pretty dire straits.
What do you want to see from the federal government? You said in our conversation just now, and you said yesterday as well, this closure underscores the urgent need for action from the federal government. What would you like to see Ottawa do?
Well, they have programs that can assist with financing of companies in the short term. There are programs that existed previously. I expect that, and I hope that those programs are being kind of continued, but increased significantly in terms of scope and capacity. There's certainly some, the federal and provincial governments are doing some of the things that my city council on a motion that I presented had put forward at the beginning of all of this, which is things like diversification assistance for local economies, things like making sure that we have infrastructure projects at the municipal level that are funded, that are expedited, because we have a lot of needs when it comes to infrastructure. So let's make sure the cities are getting some of that infrastructure funded. And now, of course, the other orders of government are talking about some of the bigger nation building projects. That's great. I support that. But let's not forget municipalities, because people live in municipalities, and that's where they need to see the support go, because those are the people that will build the infrastructure that's being provided. But if we lose the plants, How are you going to build the infrastructure? So again, I just think there needs to be some targeting of our particular city as well as the other steel cities across the country, and they need to put those programs in place quickly. And already it's getting to be too late. I mean, we are seeing layoffs already. We've seen order papers dry up on a lot of industry folks are telling me that they don't have any orders because they can't get their goods to market at a 50% tariff. And so it's dire and it needs to be addressed immediately.
For many years, the Canadian steel industry has complained that other steel from other countries is being dumped into Canada. That is sold for less than the cost of production or prices that are clearly less than market prices. And we're hearing those complaints again from the Canadian industry, perhaps because the U.S. market now there are big questions about the ability of Canadian producers to sell, to just roll their trucks right across the border and sell in the United States. Are you hearing that from the companies and from union people you speak to, that dumping from non-North American producers is an issue again?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, it's an issue that's never gone away. It's an issue that's been ongoing and that has been, there has been a lot of lobbying and a lot of demands made by both industry and unions to stop the dumping, to stop allowing cheap steel to be dumped into the market. And I think now is the time that we can clearly say that's double the harm, really, of the tariffs. The tariffs are bad. They're devastating. But it's kind of like adding insult to injury when that cheap steel continues to be dumped into our market.
Mayor Horwath, thank you so much for joining us today. That's Andrea Horwath, Mayor of Hamilton, Ontario.